In a village nestled between the thick whispering forests of Ukulu and the silver-backed hills of Mbani, there lived a girl so beautiful the sun paused to watch her walk. Her name was Nkiru, meaning the best is yet to come. Her skin was like fresh palm oil, smooth and glowing. Her eyes, dark like the heart of kola nut, carried the weight of forgotten stories. But what made her truly feared and desired was that she never opened her mouth, yet everyone heard her voice. It wasn't a whisper, it wasn't a hum, it was a melody, soft and intoxicating, like the morning flute of the forest spirit. Her voice came like a wind, gentle but deep, laced with wisdom and sorrow. It floated through the air, as if the trees themselves repeated her thoughts. It was said that warriors would go mad for days, wandering the forest in search of her after hearing it once. Cows stopped chewing, drums lost rhythm. Even the village priest once tore his white garment when she sang a greeting during the Yam festival. People asked, where does her voice come from? Some said she had a spirit husband who spoke for her. Others believed she was born with a spirit twin trapped in her stomach. No one knew the truth, not even her mother, who claimed she hadn't cried as a baby, but the walls of the hut had wept in her place. One day, the village elders declared Nkiru was ripe for marriage. Suitors from 7 kingdoms came with yams, gold, and goats, but none returned the same. Some refused to speak. Some gouged out their own ears. One prince tried to paint her voice and ended up blind. Still, no one had ever seen her teeth. And in the land of Ukulu, it is said that a mouth never opened is a secret never buried. But one man, Obina, the youngest son of the mad chief of Elu, was determined to make her smile. He would soon regret it. Obina was not like the other suitors. Where the rest came with gold and goats, Obina came with questions. Where others trembled before Nkiru's silence, he listened deeper. He was the last son of Chief Idu, the mad ruler of Elu, a man who spoke to mirrors and danced with shadows. Madness ran in their bloodline like a curse, but Obina believed he could command it, harness it. I will make her smile, he swore to the wind one night, even if it cracks the sky. He arrived at Ukulu with nothing but a bone flute carved from a vulture's wing, a satchel of ancestral charms, and his father's mad laughter echoing in his dreams. The villagers watched him warily. They remembered his father, how he once tried to marry a masquerade and ended up married to his own reflection. But Obina paid them no mind. He only watched Nkiru from afar, studying how the leaves bent toward her, how her voice sang from nowhere and everywhere, soft as a lullaby, but heavy as thunderclouds. One evening, he followed her into the forest. She walked with bare feet that didn't touch the earth. Birds stopped chirping, crickets paused, even the wind forgot to blow. Obina hid behind an old termite mound as Nkiru stopped beside a tree with bark that looked like old skin. She sat and hummed, or rather, the air hummed around her, a haunting tune that felt like memory and mourning. Obina stepped out, gently playing his bone flute in response. She turned her head slowly. Still, her lips did not part, but her voice whispered into the wind. Why do you follow what you do not understand? I want to see your smile, he said. The wind died instantly. The leaves froze mid-rustle. A cold swept through the forest like the breath of the ancestors. Nkiru stood up, and her eyes, once soft, turned hollow. Then you must earn it, she said. And with that, the ground opened slightly beneath her feet, not enough to fall into, but enough to hear the cries of voices buried beneath the soil. Obina stood frozen. The cracked earth beneath Nkiru's feet oozed a cold, greenish light. Faint screams escaped through the gap, not loud, but deep, like voices trapped in water. He wanted to run. He wanted to scream. But madness had made him brave, and pride had made him stay. Nkiru's voice echoed, not from her lips, but from the air around her. If you seek my smile, you must pass 3 tests. Fail, and you will join the others beneath my tongue. Obina, ever defiant, nodded. I accept. Nkiru extended her hand without moving her body, as if the air shaped her limb. With a sudden gust of wind, the world around them shifted. Trees twisted, birds vanished, and even the sky darkened. They were no longer in the forest, but in a dream realm, half real, half memory. In this place, Nkiru ruled. The first test, the drum of the dead. A giant drum sat before Obina, made from skin that still twitched and ropes of braided hair. Play the rhythm of truth, Nkiru whispered. If you lie with your hands, it will eat them. Obina struck the drum, and instantly it responded with visions, his past sins flashing in the air like smoke. The drum trembled, rejecting him, but then Obina did something mad. He wept. Truly, without shame, and the drum calmed. You have passed the first, said Nkiru. The second test, the mirror of mothers. Obina stood before a cracked floating mirror. In it, he saw his mother, then her mother, and the women before them generations of grief, power, betrayal. Each reflection judged him, and finally, one asked, would you trade your voice for hers? Obina answered without pause, yes. The mirror shattered, but instead of cutting him, the shards circled around him like a shield. Nikiru's voice trembled for the first time. You are not like the others. But the third test was not a test. It was a door, and beyond it, something waited that should never have been seen. Obina stood before the door that was not a test, his breath shallow, his spine cold with the weight of unseen eyes. The mirror shards circled him like wary birds, chiming softly against one another. Nkiru stood behind him now, her bare feet hovering inches above the dream ground, her eyes no longer hollow but glowing like embers starved of air. This door leads to the place where my voice was caged, she said, her voice no longer soft. It shook the trees, cracked the air. Obina turned. And behind it, Nkiru's head tilted. The truth. The thing no man was meant to see. The door groaned as it opened, not with hinges, but with breath. It inhaled, drawing in the fog, the stars, even Obina's name from his own memory, and what lay beyond was not a room or a world. It was her mouth. Inside that darkness were the souls of all who loved her, warriors, princes, madmen, suspended in air like dolls, mouths open in silent agony, eyes stretched wide. They floated, pulled apart and reassembled by invisible strings, forever caught between adoration and torment. Her mouth was not a gateway, it was a prison, and love was the chain. Obina staggered back, choking on the pressure of it. But Nkiru placed a hand on his chest. You are the first to see it and remain alive. Her voice now came from her actual lips, and slowly they parted. Obina's eyes widened. Her teeth were not made of bone. They were tombstones, each etched with a name, each pulsing faintly with light. Between them, a swirling black wind howled with the sorrow of the damned. Still, Obina did not scream. He stepped forward. Then let me speak with them, he said. Let me free them. A silence fell so deep. Even the spirits inside her mouth paused. And then, for the first time in centuries, Nkiru smiled. But it was not joy. It was a warning. Nkiru's smile stretched wider than any mouth should. Behind it, centuries of sorrow and song wailed from the depths of her throat. The tombstone teeth clattered with whispers, each name engraved in agony. The wind that escaped her lips wasn't air. It was memory, memories of lovers who failed, who forced, who begged, who tried to take without giving. Obina stood firm. The mirror shards spinning around him began to pulse. One by one, they floated toward Nkiru's mouth and embedded themselves between her teeth, not to silence her, but to reflect her. In each shard, she saw herself, not as a cursed maiden, but as a girl who had once laughed, loved, lost. Obina stepped closer. I don't want your voice, he said. I want your name, the one you were before the village locked your lips with fear. Nkiru's smile faltered. Her body trembled. And then she whispered, not through the wind, not through the dream, but through her own lips. Chizoba, God saves. At that moment, the tombstone teeth cracked. A gust of golden light shot from her mouth, breaking the spell that bound the souls within. The floating spirit screamed not in pain, but in release. Their forms dissolved into streams of light that spiraled into the sky like freed birds. The dream realm shattered. Obinna awoke in the forest, coughing, covered in sweat. Beside him stood a girl not hovering, not glowing but human. Her eyes were soft, her smile small, her mouth open, normal. I'm Kiru, she said. He smiled back. No, he replied gently. You're Chizoba. But not all stories end in peace. In the shadows of the trees, a small voice whispered, there are still more names, buried in other mouths. And somewhere, far away, another girl who never speaks begins to hum.